Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's Reddit stories are from Malicious Compliance. Story 1 is by Bailey the Nerd. Dryer fines are mine, 8-year-old versus dad. In eons past, I was once a youth. Growing up, my parents were pretty big on teaching their best child how to do things himself. This, in parent speak, meant that I was taught chores very young. I have been helping do laundry, dishes, the lawn, and cleaning since early elementary school. We all took care of the laundry, doing everyone else's along with ours when needed. So, there were rules in place. Any change found in the dryer became the property of the person unloading the dryer. 8-year-old Bailey was extremely distraught one day to find that my fortune of $10 whole had gone through the wash and was claimed out of the dryer by my dad. I was furious. I demanded back the $10, but my lovely dad reminded me of the rules. It was his to keep. Fair game. At this point, I decided that I would be the only person to unload the dryer. My parents were very pleasantly surprised that for months they never had to pull the clothes out and start the folding process, since I'd just grab the laundry and fold while binging Cartoon Network. Eventually, what started as a desperate attempt to guard my various petty treasures gave way to the perfect opportunity for malicious compliance. You see, this was very early 2000s. My dad wasn't yet keen on keeping all his cash on cards, so he kept most of his money in cash. On this particular day, he left $200 in his pocket, and doing the laundry meant that it was mine. All mine. I silently stuffed the cash in my tiny coin bank in my room, pleased with my lucrative haul. Eventually, my dad discovered that he was short a large sum of money and tore apart his office and bedroom looking for it, before he recalled that he had left it in his jeans pocket. Despite my subtlety, I was quickly confronted. The rule was rescinded and I was only allowed to keep $50, but again, to an 8-year-old, this was a king's ransom. I had emerged mostly victorious. Rules are rules, and this one was meant to be broken in the long run. He should have known eventually that was going to happen. I still remember when I was a really young child, we would all watch TV in the family room, and my dad liked to lay on the couch. That was his spot. He would always lay on the couch, and he would always have change in his pocket and money in his pocket, and you could hear when the coins dropped out of his pocket to the floor underneath when he was like asleep. And I would always tear the couch apart and find coins for use at school the next day. It was great. Story 2 today is by Fire Ice 1992. Having a coup at work. I read a thing on here earlier and it reminded me of my favorite malicious compliance I had a pleasure of being a part of. About 10 or so years ago, my father helped me get hired at the manufacturing company he worked at. I worked hard and instantly joined the union they had. After working there a few years, I was working as an operator and I knew all the machines we had and was learning how to repair or maintain them all as well. The company loved to make the operators work a lot of hours, 60+ hours a week, but we managed and the union got us double time after 60 and any time on a Sunday. The only caveat was we were allowed one weekend a month that we did not need to work, and we all usually agreed on the weekend or drew lots. One month we were crazy busy. Every machine operator was working 7 days a week, at least 12 hours on a day, and we felt it. We came to the last weekend and assumed that meant no work and a much needed break. Until the plant manager posted that we all had mandatory OT again. We demanded our reps sort it and ended up having an all-hands meeting. The plant manager screamed and told us we were all lazy, and with what we make we should be begging to work more, and our union reps slapped down the contract, with that part highlighted. The plant manager said, "Let me make it easy for you louses. Any machine operator that is not here this weekend better find a new job." We all looked at each other and nodded, confirmed the rep heard that, and went back to our machines. That following Monday, we agreed to turn them off or ignore all the calls for the weekend, and our phones exploded. Apparently, the union already started on them for wrongful termination and violation of the contract. Then we all said, "Per our meeting, you fired me, so I am not coming in." Funny enough, we were rehired with a higher pay, and the union demanded an amendment to the contract that limited work weeks to 6 days, up to 70 hours a week. Topping off all of it, we came back that Thursday to a party announcing our new plant managers, because they fired all of upper management and brought in a whole new team. Edit, since I explained that poorly, we got overtime after 40 hours a week and double time for anything after 60 hours. I've worked many jobs in my life. I've never been to a place that has allowed overtime. I would have loved to have overtime. To work an hour and get paid time and a half or double for it would be so amazing. But yeah, you're usually only at that point for overtime because you're exhausted and they need you to keep working. I'm actually quite glad that they fired the managers. They should have. They threatened you guys and called you louses. That's awful. They deserve to lose their jobs there. They ticked off the entire team. Like, tons of people. It's great that you guys actually have a union, because I know there's people who are like, pro-union, anti-union, unions are great, unions are terrible. But there is something to be said for strength in numbers. Down in the comments by Particular Car 8520. That's not malicious compliance. That's malicious destruction of a terrible system. You and your crew are awesome, and the fact that everyone was in makes it the most malicious compliance I have ever seen in this sub. Congrats. Our last story today is by Ladder Station 2328. Before 9 and after 5 don't matter. I worked for a large brokerage firm in their mutual funds division. My duties included working on special projects for the controller, coordinating with users on any issues that needed to be addressed, and working on automating all processes. I loved my job and I was real good at it. As I had these various tasks, I had 2 computers so that I could run the programs that I was modifying while still working on other tasks. As I stated, I loved the work since I basically did what I wanted to do with minimal, if any, supervision. Due to this, I regularly came in early, sometimes as early as 7 a.m. and staying as late as 7 p.m. I easily did 2 to 3 times the work of anyone else. I was always the first one in and generally the last one to leave. One day I took a lunch break, which was also rare as I brought my lunch and worked straight through. Unfortunately, I had some errands to run, so I ended up getting back after taking an extra 10 minutes. I was summoned to my manager's office where he reamed me for an hour over these 10 minutes. I had enough of this, and I asked him if he realized how early I got in and how late I stayed. His answer totally blew me away. He said it doesn't matter how early you get in or how late you stay, only what happens between 9 and 5 that counts. Cue malicious compliance. I stopped going in early. I would take a walk or read a book until 8:55 a.m. I would take a break mid-morning, take exactly 1 hour for lunch and another break in the afternoon. I would stop work at 4:45 p.m. and clean my work area. Exactly at 5 p.m. I would shut down my computers and leave for the day. He never said anything about this as he knew he brought it on himself. All that resulted from this is he lost over 5 hours of work a day from me. Not long after this, I left for brighter pastures at an increase of total compensation of almost 100%. It was possible because I went to a very high-scale investment firm. Later on, I found out that they had to hire 3 people to do my work. Like they say, you don't know how good you have it till it disappears. Isn't there a song about that? I'm drawing a blank at the moment, but I'm sure somebody will point it out to me later. I know there's a song called You Don't Always Get What You Want, and that's the only one I can think of right now. It's not coming to me, this other one. But I'm pretty sure that song is about romance, not destroying your boss's entitled attitude. Down in the comments, somebody else shared their story by Night Otter. I used to work at a place with a great team. We all loved the work and routinely put in 50 or 60 hours a week. Yeah, we were stupid loyal. New management decreed that all our projects needed to be tracked, with time cards filled out with projects and time spent each day on each one. Thus, they discovered just how many hours we were putting in. Since they were in turn charging the customer rightly pitched a fit about spending 20 to 50% on overtime for the projects. We were salaried, so we never saw the extra money. Word came down, no more than 10% overtime. Ever. First thing we did was rewrite the timelines for all the projects. 6 months turned into 9. 1 year into 18 months. 2 months into 2.5 months. You get the picture. Customer pitched a fit again. OT for longer timelines? Once we told the customer via our personal contacts that we didn't see any of the OT money, they chose longer timelines. Every new boss, Bungie bosses, would ask us to do more hours. Off the books? That violates company policy. Is the customer willing to pay for the overtime? We knew that answer was a no. After about a year, my answer became, no, my wife likes having me home at a reasonable hour. That stopped them asking for extra hours. It's just another example of a boss killing off a good thing. New management, they're suddenly like, oh, we got to make sure that we micromanage everybody and we're maximizing profits from these people. Let's milk their time for all they're worth if we can. And they just end up hurting themselves. You create employee resentment when you try to micromanage. Our stories for today have come to a close. Until we meet again, you guys have the best